Canadian wine lovers, happy Wednesday. We are down in Osoyoos at Mythology Vineyard. So tonight we're going to talk about Cab Franc, Syrah, Tempranillo, and yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff around here. So we're going to be with Mark Simpson talking Mythology Vineyard. Stay with us. Hey, happy Wine Wednesday.
Hey.
Cheers.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, everyone. Mira right here next to me. Mark Simpson right here, owner, winemaker at Mythology Vineyard. Mark, good evening.
Welcome, Carl.
Welcome. Thanks for having me.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, we were right in the guest house right here at Mythology Vineyard. So just want to recap just a little bit. Okay, let's backtrack. We know you with the club from a previous brand. Oh, I knew it's going to happen. There you go, from the Mermaid. We all remember the Mermaid. This is the beauty of a live, right? When you do something live, this is going to go into the blooper reel of the year.
Yeah, it's okay. We're all sweating. Won't be the first time mine's been spilled on our floor.
Guys, okay, just right to start. This was a beautiful decanter. I just smashed it, and half the bottle of Meritage that I'm supposed to rate and taste in a few minutes, half on the floor. So sorry about that, Teresa, Mira. Oh, wow, beauty of the life. So the Mermaid is back. So Mark, tell us a little bit about the road.
Well, we never left. I mean, I've been making wine in the valley since 2010. And just like every journey in the wine business, it takes its turns and things happen and you change and adapt to the, what's going on now and in the future. So Teresa and I bought this fabulous place and we wanted to, create a new brand that captured the, mythology of this place and also moving forward, something fresh, but still keeping some of the beautiful imagery that I've worked with in the past. And the wine's the same winemaker, same grapes. But we have a beautiful place now to farm our own state grapes, make great wine, have complete control over winemaking programs. So there's nobody in the way of what we can do. We have complete creativity.
And I think that's the dream of every winemaker, to control the process from start to finish, isn't it?
Well, I'm never in control. You're always reacting to nature.
That's a good point.
To your point, though, it gives us opportunity to shift whichever direction we want to creatively, whether it be with the style of the wine, the branding, how we're farming the grapes, what we're doing with the grapes. There's no constraints on our creative process. We're going to make the wine that we think is best for our customers, that we enjoy making, that we like drinking ourselves, and that best express the terroir of the grapes we're working with. So having that freedom comes, it's a benefit of ownership for sure. And there's obviously responsibilities. We've got bills to pay. We've got a big farm to look after. It's lots of work, so it's no holiday, my friends, but it's still fun.
That's for sure. And because just to backtrack a bit and just to put the members in perspective and our wine lovers, I think we'll say a year and a half ago, we did some great stuff with the Mermaid. We did some great stuff with your previous brand. I'm talking about like these amazing blends, these amazing red wines, and also wines from the south of the Okanagan. I remember we're doing some stuff with Syrah and Malbec. I remember calling you one of the best Malbec producers or a master blender. We also did mini vertical of Petit Verdot, mini vertical of Viognier. So we've been working with what you do for a while now. And this is the excitement now to get back with the new brand. Like to me, like to see the Mermaid back, but with all under one roof, all under one one-stop shop. Let's put it that way. And like to see the vineyard right now, it looks in good shape. And estate Merlot, and I'm going to talk a little bit about what's in the glass in a few minutes. But to see the progression and tasting the lineup this week, and of course, to me, just took me back because when I'm tasting the 2017 Syrah, it just tells me that these wines now are shining. These wines are ready to drink now. Okay, back, let's see, 17, 18, 19, that's what we have, most of the vintage we have in that back. The source of your grapes were mostly here, East Bench of Soyuz, and all over the south of the Okanagan. Can you tell us a little bit like the process in sourcing the grapes?
Well, it's interesting. I just want to touch on a point from about 5 or 6 sentences ago. The best producer of Malbec is not the winemaker, it's the guy who grows it. So, you know, one of the things that I was lucky enough to do is to connect with some really good growers early on in the journey. And I've been making wine from these same growers ever since. You know, I've been making wine from Bohan's grapes of Watertown since 2010. In fact, I helped them start his winery. So this close association with growers over the long term has created a really good synergy, because now these growers, and some of them started their own wineries, like Suki down the street, who was just a farmer when I met him. And so these growers that now make wine now have a deeper appreciation for the grape quality in the farming side. So we get to benefit from their deeper understanding of the farming, because they know what it takes to make great wine, and we treat them really well, and they give us great fruit. So it's you know, knowing your grower, having a good rapport, and having consistent vineyard supply is really the key to success of any wine brand. Because you know, most winemakers can make great wine out of good fruit, but if you don't have good fruit, you're done.
You're done.
There's nothing, no way to fix that.
And well, it leads me to a point that I wasn't sure we'll talk about it that early in the program, but Fruit Source 2022, that we go back in December when Mother Nature decided to go pretty cold. What was the impact on Mythology? What was the
Well, the impact's huge, because the entire industry is short fruit. So there's less investment in tourism. There's less people making wine from less grapes. The grapes cost more. It's going to have an impact on pricing. So that's the kind of the global theme. And you layer onto that the wildfires and all the other craziness. We've had a very difficult year. But in our particular case, we took some early decisions on our farming to leave more canes and leave more fruit hanging. So we had more spurs to work with, and that resulted in, I'm not saying it's a normal crop, we have a decent crop, and we have some pretty good quality fruit hanging. I would estimate that we're going to have 50 or 60% of a normal yield, but we're going to make some great wine from this vintage. And we're also adapting and being resilient, because one of the things that we have here is also a distillery program. So we're going to make some fermentations that end up in some premium craft brandy. We already bottled and made some of that. So we have some abilities to pivot, move left and right with our fruit. So the best fruit's going to go into our estate white Merlot, which you're drinking now. If I like how the ferments play out, I'm going to make some red wine with skin contact, because we want to have an estate Merlot red wine program. And also we've got some loyal customers that are coming back to get more fruit from us. So, you know, we're adapting. We're going to have a less cash and less fruit, less crop, but we're going to stay alive by, you know, just being a bit crafty about the whole thing.
But that's the definition of a craft winemaker, I would say. But now you have your own outlet.
Yeah.
And let's talk about the estate. How many acres do you have here?
It's a 4-acre parcel. We have 3.65 of Merlot. The older vines, I don't know the exact date, but I think they're about 28 to 30 years old. They're own rooted, which is quite significant. And we have 3 rows of Tempranillo, which is about 0.15 an acre. So last year we had 20 something tons of Merlot and half a ton of Tempranillo. So we were lucky enough last year to lay down 1 barrel of estate Tempranillo, which is going to be knock your socks off good. And so after 15 months, we'll start thinking about pulling it out of the barrel. So you can watch for that next year. And that's a great, that excites me, because I've been to Spain a couple of times. I love the, you know, the Spanish way of winemaking, and Tempranillo is a key grape in that universe. So that's just a little feather in our cap. But, you know,
I think
the mainstream going to be solid red wine made from estate grapes, and a solid rosé made in this white Merlot style, which is an offset of those rosé winemaking style.
Absolutely. And I think you trigger Mira's curiosity here, because we mentioned
Cheers, guys.
and we talked about the farming. She just bolted outside. I think she's dying to show the viewer here. Where are you, Mira?
Well, I just wanted to say happy Wine Wednesday to our amazing Canadian wine lovers. Thanks for stopping by, you guys, and hope you are maybe having some Canadian wine tonight. So cheers. Yeah, I wanted to say, I'm going to bring Teresa Santani out. She is co-owner and partner here with Mark. And so we'll get to meet her in a minute. But I wanted to give you guys a glimpse because where Mark and Carl are, you can't tell that we're in the middle of wine country, but we are. It's freaking awesome. We love it. I hear the birds chirping. Every once in a while, there is a terrifying boom that goes off because I think there's some orchards around here and they're trying to scare the birds away.
It's not for the orchard, Mira. It's for the grape. They try to protect the darn crop. Jeez.
Totally. But just behind me, you can see the Sonora Desert Inn, which is part of Mythology Vineyard here. They have a beautiful bed and breakfast in there with place you can stay when you're down in wine country next. There's a tasting room behind me. There's a distillery. There's a winery. And there are like rows and rows and rows of beautiful grapes. So we'll get a more detailed tour when I introduce you guys to Teresa in a little bit. But I just thought I'd give everyone a glimpse of what's coming up.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you get back to me whenever you're ready. We'll, Mark and I are going to chat a little bit about some.
I want to talk about the dirt.
You want to talk about the dirt?
Yes, I do.
You want to talk about the dirt? Oh, let's talk about the dirt.
Well, the South Okanagan is the premier place to grow grapes in Canada. There's no two ways about it. It doesn't mean that other terroirs aren't great. And we're surrounded by the Golden Mile, just a couple K up the road, and the Black Sage Bench across the valley, and all these other great terroirs. Naramata, Okanagan Falls. But if you want to grow hot, big, juicy reds, this is the place to do it. There's very little rainfall. There's consistent hot sun, and we're in a desert. So, farming grapes here has its challenges because we have high heat and not much rain, pretty sandy soil. I'd like to see a bit more, rocks and minerals in our soil, but we do the best we can. But, for consistent weather and consistent terroir and consistent fruit quality, the Soyuz is, the wine capital. I think Oliver claims that, and they're pretty good too, but we're about 3 degrees hotter on average than Oliver vineyards. And you want a big juicy red, this is the spot, man, right here, right in the center of desert country.
Yeah, and I mean, like focusing on Merlot. Tell me, okay, let's go, because this is going to be, it was already, and it's going to be part of a focus part of your portfolio here at Mythology. We're tasting here the 2022 White Merlot. I want to know, and I'm sure people who are listening here, let's talk about White Merlot. What's the strategy behind it? How do you approach your new vintage? How do you approach the production of White Merlot?
Well, it's pretty straightforward, and you pick ripe fruit with a little bit lower bricks, so it's not too hot of a wine. And you want to pull out the juicy, fruity aromatics from the Merlot grape without too much tannin structure. So it's a very short trip through the press. In the press, squeeze, light pressure, and pull off that aromatic pink juice and ferment it cool to contain all the aromatics, and then just finish it out as a classic Provençal style pink wine. Careful fining to preserve the color, and careful handling to don't bruise the wine, no oxygen, reductive winemaking right the way through, and try and get in the bottle with as much of the beautiful kind of watermelon notes and strawberry, and also some good crunchy acidity. One of the things that about this particular vintage, the 2022, is it held its acid very well. We picked at 25 bricks, 8 grams of acid, pH 3.6. So it wasn't perfect. I would like to pick a couple of bricks points lower, but this year we're going to dial that in, of course. Last year was interesting because we had 21 bricks at the end of August and not much ripeness, and then everyone remembered how great the fall was. It just rocked. So we had 4, 5, 6 weeks of perfect ripening weather, and this year we're in the same boat. But what's beautiful about this year is why there's going to be some spectacular wine this year is that we're about 3 to 4 weeks ahead in the ripening curve versus last year or previous years. So it gives us the luxury to pick the fruit at the exact sugar and ripeness and acid structure we want without too much disease pressure, because it's so dry. It's not raining. I remember 3-4 years ago, September, it rained a lot and cold. So we got none of that. We've got pretty much perfect farming conditions, and we're going to take full advantage of those perfect farming conditions to dial in the pick exactly where we want. So if you're curious about when we're picking, well, the answer is tomorrow morning. We've got, 6 in the morning, I'm up in the tractor moving bins around. We've got about 23 bricks, 6.5 grams, 7 grams of acid on a Merlot. We're going to pick 4 tons of the best fruit we can and try and make some great white Merlot.
So white Merlot goes out, well, you go out first for white Merlot, and usually the difference between your first pick and, let's say, what's your projection to pick the regular Merlot? Are you expecting more like October, or
Well,
if obviously, if not,
It's a complicated question. I'm going to be a little technical here because it's important and relevant. First of all, we had some fires here. If anyone noticed that, but there's a few fires this summer, and we had smoke throughout the valley. So we actually sent some grapes today to the Friend Winery, who's got a very advanced lab, and we're going to do some analysis for smoke taint precursor molecules. I can't pronounce them, but some of you might know what they are. But anyway, we're going to just see what the analysis is on the grapes. So we're going to make the white Merlot. I'm going to smell the ferments every day. I'm going to look for, anything that I think might suggest that it's not a good year to make red wine with long skin contact. When I say long skin contact, typically I'm 24 to 30 days on the skins, which is a bit longer than many other wineries, but I think that skin contact is essential for the depth of the tannin structure in the wine. So I don't want to expose the wine to that much skin contact if there's any risk of smoke taint coming into the wine now or in the future. And one thing that we've learned is it's a sleeper flaw. It can show up after it's bottled. You can't see it, you can't smell it, you can't taste it. 2 years later, there it is. So, I'm taking a very cautious approach, and I'm using analysis and tools and conversation with other winemakers. There's vineyards all around us being tested as we speak. Other winemakers, we're collaborating, we're sharing knowledge and best practices. We've had some long sessions with our friends at CellarTech who have lots of great info about the latest techniques to deal with, smoke exposure. But I can honestly say at this point, at this moment in time, I'm not too worried about our fruit. All the indicators are that we're safe and we got through it. That's not the same for some of the folks, maybe Quails Gate, West Kelowna folk who was closer to the big fires that happened later in the ripening process. Our fire was before Raison when the grapes are still hard. So the point at which the smoke contacts the grape is important for whether or not it impacts it. And that's the most important aspect.
Well, that's why when I'm looking at up and down the valley and when the fire happens, like for people, like for our friends back east, when everyone heard about the big one late in August.
Yes.
That's the one, and this one was up north the valley in Kelowna, in West Kelowna. That's what Mark is referring to, Quails Gate Winery and our friend at Mount Boucherie. Like there's multiple wineries that were much closer to the source. Here now south in the Soyuz, we had the fire in July.
Yeah.
So July prior to Horizon, when the grape, like for people who are listening, like when the grapes are still green, so they don't absorb the molecule of smoke from the air as easy.
You know what the most important point is, Carl? And I'll lead back to the first part of the conversation about when you own your own business, you can make those decisions yourself without any accountability to shareholders or owners or other people. We got to make the best wine possible from the grapes. And sometimes that's a day-to-day decision. We pick the grapes, we do the analysis, we smell them, we look at them, we taste the seeds, see the texture, and that's going to lead us to intuitive and scientific decisions as what's the best wine to make from these grapes. And whatever that is, that's what we're going to do. So if we're short on this and we have long on that because we made a good decision in the winery based on what we're seeing in the vineyard, that's just how we roll.
That's awesome. And well, let's get back to a little bit to the source here, where we're heading. So Malbec, we have a 2021 Malbec in the pack that I really like. We're at 90+ points.
That's only 3 months in the bottle. Wait till 2 years.
Exactly. That's exactly. I believe that wine is just getting started.
Yeah.
So the source it's from the border town.
East Bench. So it's not actually the border town site. It's down and around the corner. But what's interesting about that vineyard site is it has exceptional air drainage. So even later in harvest, like in the last 2 weeks of October, when there's frost and leaves are getting fried up the valley in Oliver, this vineyard's still green and the canopy's healthy and is still undergoing photosynthesis and still some tannic ripeness development. So we can hang that fruit usually 190 to 195 days versus 175 to 185 days sites further up the valley. So that extra 10 days makes
Makes a huge
a huge difference. Yes.
Yeah, no, that Malbec has a beautiful grip at that point. If you like your wine, I like my wine in their youth. I like them lively. Holy geez, this wine's just, and that's why I made in the tasting room, it's crunchy. That's just a crunchy stage right now.
Yeah.
It's really, really vibrant, really lively.
What you're seeing in the offer that we have now is that the wines that we've selected are a beautiful place in their trajectory. So I'm making the wine so it's enjoyable to drink when you release it. Usually it's about 1 year and 1 to 2 years in the bottle, 1 year, 2 for a special reserve before we even release it. And by the time people get the wine, and we've sold through the previous vintages, we're sitting at 2-3 years in the bottle. So the wine is already peaking and is into a lovely 5-year curve of maturity and cellar ability. So, you know, anything, what we're trying to do is make wines that are ready to drink now. They're approachable, but they're going to cellar beautifully over time.
Well, that is, it makes a lot of sense what you're saying, because let's go to the other two in the discovery pack. Let's stay in red for the moment, because the Harmonious 2018, I think just hitting its peak is just entering the prime window of drinkability. And when we get to the 17 Syrah, it's right there. I think like this one exactly right. You know, when you put your steak on the barbecue and you touch it and like, I know this is an absolute perfect temperature. That's why how the 17 Syrah felt for me when I swirl it and I smell it, and I got the taste of it, the texture, the softness of the tannin. Like when you talk earlier about depth in tannins,
Well, remember in that wine there's a spot of Viognier too.
So what's the percentage of Viognier?
3%.
3%.
So that brings, it's sort of a je ne sais quoi. I don't know if that relationship is fully understood, but you know, maybe there's some smart winemakers that can boast the technical on that. But it does something to the straw. It brings a bit of elegance. It brings some softness, brings some nice aromatics. But we're also doing, you know, fairly lengthy skin contact and a lot of oxidative winemaking prior to pressing. So, you know, twice daily punch downs and giving it some air and putting it in the right barrel and the right amount of rackings. It gets racking prior to bottling, so the wine gets some air during the evolution in the barrel. So those are all important steps, I think, in having a peak in the right way. And
I think that, yeah, that's Syrah to me. It's one of the two all-star of that pack. Even if like all of the wines are shining right now, the Syrah at 92 plus point, with the biggest aspect in all that is the price point. And as you know, like you guys, members have been listening for years, the price point in the score to me is a big part of it. I always put the price point in the equation, because a fantastic wine, $100, doesn't mean the same thing as a fantastic wine at $35.
Well, you know, that's a good point. We've seen prices creeping up in the cellar door. Teresa and I have done quite a few visits around neighboring wineries. We've seen a lot of wines that are, you know, 40, 50, 60 bucks that aren't necessarily delivering at the price. So we've got to be really careful about pricing ourselves out of the market. You know, let's face it, we're competing against international wines as much as we are competing against you know, high-priced imports from France or Italy, you know, the Barolos and the Bordeaux's. But people can go buy a really nice Malbec or a Rioja that's 4 years old in barrel for, you know, 20 bucks. So if we're sitting at 40 or 50 for a wine that's, you know, 2 years younger, customers are going to figure that out. So I think in our pricing, the QPR is the term we use. We're trying to keep things affordable and offer an over delivery on the quality at the price point, because we're competing with Painted Rock, you know, to Benny, you know, and they're all 55, 60 bucks. So you get a Harmonious at 35, you're getting a wine that's really delivering on the price.
That's some news for you. A red icon of Painted Rock is now like near $90.
Well, there you go.
You know,
and those are beautiful wines. Believe me, I would, you know, love to have a cellar full of those wines, and I enjoy them, and I'm proud to, you know, see them in BC raising such a high bar, like Checkmate, for example. Like, what they're doing is just ridiculous. We can't do that. We don't have those resources, but we can make a pretty good draw for way less dollars.
But that's the thing. we're talking QPR, and that's one of the terms that we use in our initial email. That's the term that, like, when we meet the Mira even came with the kind of a little joke in the presentation in our flyers. It's like it's pre-pandemic price in the sense that the price hasn't rise up since then.
Or we've taken a bit of pricing, and I know, sorry folks, the prices have to go up in all wines because we're facing tremendous economic pressures. I mean, just to give you a statistic, in 3 weeks ago, the Walnut Grove Beach Hotel had 380 people booked in their rooms when the government shut down the highways, and they all canceled. And they phoned them back, only 3 people rebooked. You can't take $10 million out of the economy in a 3-week period and expect businesses to survive and absorb that. So there's definitely going to be pricing pressure.
Well, we have a
Spot price on fruit is $4,000.
Oh dear. That was a fabulous conversation, and they seem to have gotten cut off. So I'm going to go and get that fixed for you guys. Sorry about that. You guys got cut off. Yeah. It's okay. So I'm here. I'll get that sorted out.
Yeah, there you go.
But
That's
I think it's Teresa's turn.
interesting. Since when we got it?
you're back. Reviving.
Hey, we're back.
So, I don't know how much you guys got before we lost our feed, but there's definitely pricing pressure. But in our case, we're going to really try and, be very modest in the pricing. We want that to be a key feature. You get a great drop for, Verdot.
There you go. So, but because I don't know when, Mira, when do you want to take over with Teresa? Do you want to give me another couple minutes? Mira, can you hear me?
Well, I was just thinking, if you want, I can take you guys on a bit of a tour. If you guys want to help me out here, I'll introduce you to Teresa Santani, who is the awesome co-owner here at Mythology Vineyard and Sonora Desert Inn. The bed and breakfast is right behind me, and I've been in there. It is gorgeous. So if you're looking for a place to stay next time you're in wine country,
you take over, Mira. Mira, you take over, and I'm going to clean up my mess before I stain the brand new floor that Teresa put in the house in the last couple of weeks. I'm just looking at the splash that I made, and I'm kind of scared that it's going to stain the new floor here at the guest house. Okay. So you take over. I'm going to go clean my mess.
Sounds good. Mark, you going to hang out with us for a minute while we tour around?
Yeah, let's come outside, say hi.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to turn the volume down or yeah, there you go. So here is Teresa Santani, who
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Good to meet you, Teresa. This is the Mark Simpson's partner and co-owner here at Mythology Vineyard. And we are going to take you on a bit of a tour. I think Mark's going to come out and say hi while we're touring as well. So what do we have here, Teresa?
Well, actually, tomorrow we're going to be picking our first grape. We're going to be picking our 6 tons of Merlot. We're also in the middle of picking our walnuts right here, where we're actually starting our new spirit that we'll be bringing on, our Nocino, which is actually a family recipe from my father.
You are Italian by the sounds of it. Hey, yeah, there you go. And it's pretty neat, guys. Like behind me here, they're full on in the middle start of harvest, right?
We are tomorrow morning.
Literally when we pulled up, they were running back from the vines. They were in the winery. We totally jumped in right in the middle of harvest. So it's pretty fun to be here with you guys. Hope you're enjoying. So what else do we have here, Teresa? I see a beautiful, what looks like a pizza oven over there.
This is our first walnut. Every day we find about 10 or 15 of these. But what we're really looking for is the green, is the outside of our walnuts, which we'll put in our spirits. So we're going to take you over to the back here where we have our Merlot plant.
Okay. Oh, so beautiful out here, hey?
It is. We've been here all week. I've been pulling weeds. We tried to stay away from the Roundup, so we've physically, manually pulled out the weeds. Next year,
a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but it's a labor of love.
Yeah. Awesome.
I'm starting to build up my biceps and triceps.
Yes.
Starting.
Awesome. So these are the beautiful vines right here.
There's Mark pulling our.
This bad boy.
Look at that bad boy. Wow.
Pick.
Looks gorgeous.
It's ready to eat, actually.
So what grape is this, Mark?
It's Merlot.
That's the Merlot. Okay.
Oh, 23 bricks.
And is this what you'd make your white Merlot with?
Yeah, it's in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Oh,
what we
that's
want,
awesome.
23.
Mhm.
Mm.
And you can see that seeds are pretty brown. I don't know if this might work on the camera, but brown seeds,
Oh,
Very
that's a seed right there.
kind of nutty. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
Brown seeds, ripe fruit.
Here,
Happy
Pick
people.
and enjoy.
That's awesome, you guys.
Yeah.
Love it. You're getting a taste of wine country. So if you're in the city somewhere, hopefully you're enjoying this little glimpse into the beauty of wine country at harvest. It's awesome. So what's going on in this vineyard then, Mark? Like, you guys have which varietals planted
We
here?
have 45 rows of Merlot and 3 rows of Tempranillo.
Okay.
And, we're selling some of the fruit. We're making wine from some of the fruit. We're going to make wine and distill it as well because we have a craft distillery program. So
Wine, vodka,
that's kind of unique.
vodka and
We're
brandy?
actually going to
or-
make brandy.
brandy.
Yes.
Okay.
Which is a single, one fermentation and then one distillation that goes in some kind of a really good barrel.
Ah,
And then
nice.
part of that production is going to go into Nicino, which is Teresa's family recipe. I can't tell you what's in it, but I don't even know. I'm going to be blindfolded
tell you
on the
either.
day we make it. So
That's
but
awesome.
it does have walnuts in it. I can say that
Yes.
much.
That's fantastic.
And it has grapes.
Grapes and walnuts.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool. That is really cool, you guys. Awesome. Well, do we have another minute? Maybe we can head over to the tasting room. Just take
Absolutely.
a quick peek at
Yeah.
the tasting room and the I'll show you guys what they've got here.
We have some people in
Yeah.
here from Quebec.
Yes, so we got here, and of course there are French-speaking people here for Carl's. So it was really nice. They have some guests staying here from Quebec right now.
You notice there's no smoke.
And there's no
Bluebird-
smoke. Look at
bluebird
this
sky.
gorgeous sky. We're so happy to see that. Out here, I see a beautiful gazebo and a pizza oven. Is that a pizza oven, you
And a
guys?
smoker. And a smoker.
And a
Yeah.
smoker. So do you do events out here?
Eventually we will be. We are actually getting ready for put up some lights. We do a lot of buyouts with our 7-bedroom inn. We've had up to now we've had about 3 buyouts. We have our next one will be in July 6th. 13 women from the States. So that's going to be
Fun.
extremely exciting. They want concierge, they want wine, they want water. So it'll be 48 hours of a lot of fun.
That sounds great. And yeah, you'll see here near the tanks and the barrels, so much fun. This is the pizza oven, and then the smoker's around here somewhere. So it's very exciting. Sounds
Actually,
it's
the
just such
smoker's
a
right up here.
pleasant place, Teresa. It's really nice. Like I want
Yeah.
to spend a summer evening here for sure. Oh, that's the smoker up there.
It is, yes. Right now, it's
Oh,
actually got
good.
leaves with a grapevine. It will be a smoker. We are going to be building an outside fireplace where we're going to have some mulled wine, and people can be sitting around. Whether we're trying to create a 4 Seasons resort, so we can have
Mhm.
families come out for their festivities or family gatherings. We have a lot of people coming to Osoyoos needing and wanting space for their family occasions.
Yeah, totally. And I think this is a beautiful, amazing spot. And how many bedrooms are in the inn, Teresa?
In the main floor, we have 5 bedrooms, all with their private bathrooms, and upstairs we have 2 very large bedrooms. One has a peekaboo view of the lake. The other one is actually 2 bedrooms, but I turned it into has 2 queen beds for those clientele that prefer 2 queen beds, and we get
Yeah.
a lot of requests for that.
If you have kids, especially, that's super
We do,
handy.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. And then what do we have here? Is this the tasting room
Yeah,
and the?
this is our 750 square foot tasting room.
Okay.
Eventually, I would like to actually add some height so we have room for our taller tanks, and create more of an outdoor tasting experience for our guests. But that is in the future,
Yeah,
whether it happens this year or this lifetime. But it will
for
happen.
sure, for sure. So this is the part of the production facility here, right?
It is. Yes, I'll turn on the
See the
light.
tanks, and last time I was here, this was where they were distilling. Is this still
We
the?
were distilling at the
Yeah.
distillers right there in the corner. We've added a sink with hot water, which is very essential in our crush pad, and we have lots of space to move around. Tomorrow morning, we'll have our tanks full of grapes, so we will need.
That's the distiller. The distiller is there. Distiller is there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's super cool, Teresa. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And over here, if we take a peek through the window, this is the tasting room. There's some people in there right now, so I maybe won't go in, but you can get a sense of it. So yeah, it's a lovely tasting area.
Well, I have to get going. I have to serve these wonderful customers from Quebec.
Guys.
So carry on and
Yeah.
come back for some wine tasting.
Absolutely, we will. Thanks, Teresa. Bye. So much fun. So now let's head back to Mark and Carl, who I believe are going to taste the Meritage, which I'm very excited about because I have never, I think, tasted a Meritage, which is 50%, I believe, Petit Verdot. Yes, 50% Petit Verdot. So that is super exciting. So I'll add you guys back in here. How's it going, guys?
Hey, we beat you here because it's already in the glass from the decanter. And
was I right? Is it 50% Petit Verdot?
Absolutely, it is. Yes, it is. And I can't. Yeah, there's a smell of it. There's a texture. There's a grip, but there's a softness. I was expecting something a little bit more grippy with that high percentage of Petit Verdot, but there's a softness in that wine. So I need to talk with the guy who made it.
Well, it's probably gonna, there's probably some lawyer in Paris composing an email as we speak about the use of the term Meritage or Meritage or Meritage, whatever it's called. So
But it's North
not,
American. It's North American. So someone in Paris has no business.
Yeah, I just know there's people out there that are sticklers for the appropriate use of wine terminology. So usually a Meritage is Cab Franc, Cab Sauv, and Merlot. So it's really, I just needed something to call it. But it's probably a unique blend that came together because these wines all combined in a certain way, and they just called out that they had to be put together. And I love making Petit Verdot, and what I've learned is that when you blend things into Petit Verdot, you can soften some of the grippy tannins and make something beautiful. But in this particular case, the Petit Verdot, that's 50% of the blend, came from the Black Sage bench and had a blend of American and French oak, and it was very soft. It was just a well-made wine with a very nice soft profile, not too grippy. And the Cab Franc and the Merlot just added to the length and finish of the blend, but the softness and suppleness is really an outstanding quality. And I really enjoy drinking this wine. I'm very proud of it. I think it's one of the best wines I've ever made, to be honest. So,
well, I'm glad to hear that. First of all, cheers to that, okay? Because this is an excellent wine, and bear with me because I'm going to have a score for you before the end of the show. I just want to talk about the nose. There's a ton of black fruit. There's a ton of black fruit in that wine. On the nose, it's blackberry, black currant. There's the graphite, but there's also a bunch of there's floral notes on the nose, and I can almost smell that fresh cracked pepper. Well, why?
Well, the Petit Verdot berry is very small, has a thick skin, so the ratio of skin to pulp is extreme with respect to all other foods. In fact, it's probably more intense than Cab Sauv. The opposite of the spectrum would be Malbec, which is a thin skin and a lot of pulp in the middle. And what that thick skin gives us is lots of precursors for aroma development. The black currant, the cassis, and the barrel program, the chocolate from the French and American oaks, picking up those spices and lifting them up. And I think this is a great example of a wine where the barrel is lifting the varietal character rather than covering it. So the oak is meant to lift the fruit, not overwhelm it. And I think that's, really the hardest aspect of winemaking is to find the right balance of the oak and have it apparent but not prominent.
Speaking, Mira, I'm right with you because I see you're something in your hand. But before that, you mentioned chocolate. I totally get it on the mid palate.
Yeah.
mid palate. There's a minty chocolate, a dark chocolate, a little bit of like tobacco leaves as well.
Yeah.
This is like
That's
that
the
concept.
Cab, that's the Cab Franc.
Yeah, that's a Cab Franc
But the
speaking.
chocolate is the toast in the barrel. So
Mhm.
you have a medium toast, long convection barrel. What that means in simple English is they take the wood and they cook it at a lower temperature for a longer time. Rob Hammersley, maybe you can post the temperature, but I think it's like 350 Fahrenheit. But basically, what happens is the sugars in the wood caramelize versus burn. So it's the change in the chemistry of the wood with the right amount of temperature and time on that long convection. That's where the magic comes, and that's where that chocolate note develops. Now, if the fruit's part of that, and Merlot can be known to bring chocolate. I've made wine from Anarchist Mountain, Terry Meyer Stone, and Andrew Stone's vineyard. I think they sold it, but they still involved. That Merlot vineyard gave chocolate every year in a big way. So I've seen that in that chocolate in Merlot. I think this is the barrel adding to the whole experience here.
Well,
Yeah.
Rob concurs. Rob concurs. That's super interesting, you guys. All I was trying to say, all I came in to say is I have these beautiful grapes to munch on, but I have no wine. And so do you guys have a glass for me in there?
Well, we can fix that.
Yeah,
You-
I think
can
I need to
you-
fix
can you
that. So
drink
I'm coming in. I'm coming in to try this Meritage. One of the other things I wanted to ask is the price correct here, Mark? Is it actually $35?
Yes.
Which is
Including
also
tax.
amazing.
Including
tax.
tax. That's even
I
best
freaking
part.
love that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Make it easy. Like that's one of the reasons why we like Ontario Winery for 1 cent. That when we get the price, it's all in. There's no adding tax, and like so. This is here. These pricing are all in with tax. It's pretty crazy. I mean, there's 3 wines in there, including that Meritage, because that goes right around that 92 points. Okay, like I'll give you a hint right away. This is like at 91 plus, to my opinion, but we'll keep going. But there's one thing. The Syrah 2017 and the Special Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon at $35. These 2 wines and that Meritage at $35 all in. I have a hard time to wrap my head around it in the sense that not to change it, but definitely not for the rest of the week. But
Yeah. Don't give him any ideas, Carl. Jeez.
But the thing is, these wines are massively over deliver the price point. These are wines that, to my like a blind taste, and you know, Mira, we do that exercise all the time at home. When we pour you pour the wine for me, and the first question is how much is that wine, right? We do that all the time, and I would say I'm pretty bang on, right? Like so.
Yeah, that's when I know we're onto something. When Carl guesses more than what the price is, then yeah, it's a pretty good day when that happens.
That's what I wrote in the notes of the 2017 Syrah. I would have paid like we put $15 more on that point, and I would never complain about that. So these are wines who absolutely massively over deliver, and you know what? I like that. There's a completely different profile now, like. Like there's a great combination of dark fruit, florality, and also spice.
Mm-hmm.
And you get that like all linked together with that chocolate coffee tobacco in the middle. Like this is really
It's
interesting.
one to drink. Yeah, I'm
Absolutely.
pretty happy with it.
Absolutely. And there's a length. There's a great,
here's the
length.
thing. I may never make that blend again. So if you like it, fill your cellar, because that'll be it. And that's the beauty of what we do, is that we can, shift gears and make different blends every year, and that keeps it interesting for us. Probably never going to make the same wine twice. We might make it in the same style, but every year we've got to shift left or right to keep it interesting, do something good with the terroir. Because every year God gives us some different conditions. We have different weather, we have different fruit, and if we don't respect that and pull out those nuances, we would be missing great opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned something. It's small batch wines, And it's something that people are always very interested in, like how many cases of this wine has been made? We get that question all the time, right? And when you look at like some of the wines, like I think it's the Viognier, like we had 88 cases produced. Like what you are the quintessential, you're the poster child of small batch wine, and I say that in a good sense. I say that from the consumer perspective, it's like these are rare little stuff who are made already, like handcrafted. That's the true definition of handcrafted. How many pieces of that 2020 Meritage were made in 2020?
60.
60. There you go. So that's the point. 2017 Syrah, I think there was 160 cases made.
Yeah.
And in your term, that's kind of a big batch. Almost.
No, it's done, a big batch of 200 and something cases.
Okay.
You gotta remember that, to make 200 cases of wine, that's 30 grand in fruit, plus a lot of time and capital energy. So there's tremendous resource allocation that goes into making a batch of wine. And we don't get paid for 2, 3, 4 years after we make it. So if we make a big batch and it doesn't sell, well, that's not a good thing. And we just got the pleasure of a new tax, the excise, CRA excise added 70 cents a liter to everything we bottle after July 1st of last year. So there's a new tax that we're dealing with, and that's not fun. But we're trying to just do the best we can, deliver a good value. So if there was one message I could sort of leave this broadcast with is please go to a tasting room and buy the wine, because we've suffered this summer with some real hits to the tourism, and the wineries need people to visit, to engage and give feedback. And as much as we like to sell online, which is always good, we want people to come, say hi, drive up, fill their trunk, go home with wine and drink that all winter. And they like it so much they have to order some because they run out before spring comes. And they get back. So that's the grand cycle.
The grand
Visit
cycle.
the tasting room, fill your trunk, drive out, go online, order some, and then book your vacation early. So we're making some wine. The small batches will run out. Right?
Exactly. But with the new now, the home vineyard and the potential. So in the future, when we look at Mythology Vineyard and we think Merlot, like how many cases you can expect on a regular crop with your new concept and not the new concept, but with the new infrastructure?
Well, that's a good point. It's a complex answer, but really the trajectory of any brand is how much people like it. So if we, for example, we have 7 barrels now, which will 180 cases plus or minus. So if we bottle that, people love it, and it flies off the shelf, then we're going to say, well, I'll make more. So it might be 250 cases and 300 and so on. So, we have ability to make, 1,200 cases of wine if we put every grape into one SKU, but we're unlikely to do that. We're going to split the grapes up between some white Merlot. We're going to make some spirits, some brandy, the Chino, some red wine. So I think our niche is having a diversity of interesting stuff, not hanging your basket on one particular juggernaut SKU. We want to make a little bit of everything. So when people come here, there's always something interesting. It's different. It's changing. And if something's successful, of course, we're going to make more. We're not done. We want to.
We like to sell. Hey, Mira, what do you think? What's in your glass?
Well, I think it's even more delicious out in the vineyard where I am.
Oh my! I believe that. Yeah, your view, it's pretty freaking fantastic. That's for
It
sure. What a
is
gorgeous
amazing
thing
out
here in
there.
the South Okanagan. It's been fantastic. How many times did we mention it in our drive south? Like we're in
It's gorgeous.
Summerland, we're like an hour from the vineyard, and I think I probably said, look, or how beautiful it is at least 55 times.
Yeah.
Well,
So you know what I thought when I tried this Meritage? I love it, by the way. I thought that smoker you got over there for your guests here and for your events, Mark, that smoker needs to have a big brisket coming out of it to have with this Meritage. I think that would be so good. Or some kind of like sticky ribs or something. Yeah.
Well, my birthday coming up, and there might be some tomahawk steaks going in that thing this weekend.
Oh, that's very exciting.
Here's a statistic for you. Living in Osoyoos more, last year, I keep wearing out my flip-flops. So in Osoyoos, the flip-flop factor you have another month of shorts and flip-flops. You're living in Calgary or Vancouver or, you know, even Vernon. It's cold and gnarly much sooner than in the Soya. So you want hot, dry, desert country, sun, vacation, paddleboarding, go to the beach. You got another month or two of that. So come on down.
Yeah, no,
It's true.
absolutely.
I was just telling Carl, I think my favorite time of year in the Okanagan has to be September because the harvest is coming in. So there's just this bounty everywhere you go. There's all these fruit stands overflowing with like fruits and veggies, and the grapes are coming in, and it's just such a gorgeous time. And it's warm. Like this
Yeah.
whole month, 25 to 29 every day. It's gorgeous.
I'm going to give Soyuz a 92 on the flip-flop scale.
It seems
Love
like it seems like to be the score of the week, 92. And 4 wines at 92 points. I don't see that quite often, Mira.
No.
And this is a spectacular lineup of wine. And I have to mention, before now we talk about the Syrah, I just tasted the Meritage. I need to talk about the special reserve Cab. Because funny enough, again this afternoon, I've been tasting that wine since last Thursday. We're now Wednesday, so we're 6 days in. I forgot the cork for a full night, a full 8 hours, and I forgot any closure on it in the middle of that period. And this wine was still freaking dancing today.
Well,
Like,
it's got redox potential to go.
oh, and so it's 2019 Special Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon. $35. That's another part. I know that Madero will say, "Shut up, Carl! Stop mentioning."
The excise tax.
That includes the excise tax. I know that Daryl put an order on hold until Monday, but that's coming in on Cab Reserve. But tell you, this wine is absolutely spectacular. So let's revisit. I'm a big fan of the 2019 vintage in the Okanagan. I know 2020 got so much press. I am just a fan of the freshness of that vintage and the precision in terms of flavor. So tell me, can you recall your 2019 production and especially that very wine, 160 luck. I don't believe in that. I think it's
Well, there's some luck. No, okay. The luck is in being at the right place at the right time, and the strategy is in fostering, good relationships with your growers. So that fruit came from, a good place, from people I trust, I've worked with for a long time, and I'm nice to them. They're nice to me back, and they give me good fruit. So that's a very basic tenet of business. Just be nice to your suppliers, treat them special, pay them on time, and you'll notice on the back of the bottle, like, calling out where it's from. So I'm never shy to give the grower praise, because good fruit's made in the vineyard, good wine's made in the vineyard. And our job as a winemaker is to just make sure that we don't screw up that good fruit. So, it always comes back to the growers, and it comes back to, the aspect where we're blessed to have growers that will work with us, listen to our feedback, and create that cycle of trust and quality that comes from, knowing your supplier, knowing your source, and dealing with people you trust and you like, and they give you the love back by giving you nice fruit. There's no magic there. So in 2019, that's what happened.
And the fruit of the Cab Sauv is from the south of the Okanagan. I think you're on the Black Sage Bench.
That one was border town.
Okay, so we're looking at Osoyo's here. Okay, so for the Cab Sauv, and I believe that your Cab Franc, because there's
No, I did that on purpose because that gives some elegance.
Yeah,
It actually takes the density of the Cab Sauv and gives it a little bit of a nice middle with some elegance. Some of those green pepper, pyrazine, mint, menthol, eucalyptus notes.
this is exactly my tasting notes. If you review my note,
They're
that's
present, and that fraction of Cab Franc creates that kind of footprint. And also don't over oak. About 30-40% new oak in that batch. Not too much new oak, not too much American oak. Blend of the two, and then a blend of the right toast as well. So in barrel selection, not just where it's from, but the toast is super important. You can't overwhelm soft wine with overcooked oak. Like, the long toast convection. I'm a big fan of that. That makes the best wine. Also, the single pass barrel. So you have a barrel, you buy a new barrel, use it once, 2 years later, you pull it out. The wine that goes in that first pass oak, that's always beautiful. In fact, often more beautiful than a new barrel, in my opinion. So having those single pass barrels is key.
Still geeking out on that Meritage. But so 86% Cab Sauv, 14% Cab Franc, Similkameen fruit for the Franc, Okanagan fruits for the Sauv. I thought it was a really great combination. There's like I said, light on his feet. This is not a heavy cab. It's a fresh cab. There's the length, but I love that complexity of the and the intensity. This is a very intense wine, and that's what I'm talking about the 19. That's why I see so often in 19's vintage that intensity of flavor. And this, you extract that beautifully. So $35 Cabernet Sauvignon, including tax and the excise tax. You don't see that quite often now. Cab Sauv costs much more to produce. This is the grapes that you rarely find, even now. Like you look in the California, on the California market, if you go to Napa Valley, there's got a bottle of Cabernet under $25.
That the percent of acres in BC of Cab Sauv is under 5%. I mean, someone can pull up the BC Wine Grape Council report. It's probably 2 or 3%. But there's not much of that fruit, and what there isn't always ripe enough to be included as a single variety. So the reason that's a special reserve is because we don't want to bottle Cab Sauv every year, because we don't have worthy fruit to stand up as a single varietal from the root terroir. So only when it's special is it called special reserve.
Yeah, and it's really, really special. So yeah,
but it's
and it totally is. And yeah, to me, and I mentioned that in my video today, and also in my tasting notes. Bar none, it's the best Canadian cab, the $35 Canadian cab that I've tasted. Bar none. Plain and simple stuff here.
In 2015, we made cab, and that batch was gold medal in the over 35 category. So
that's good.
So that's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
The 2015 Cab Sauv, that formed the basis of the 2015 Harmonious, which was, I think, pretty high cab fraction. And that 2015 Harmonious also won a gold medal of the All Canadians. So the cab category, and in the 2018, which is in the pack, that is also a cab forward blend.
Yeah.
Those of you who know my Harmonious program, it's been Merlot forward since 2010, but in I've made it 10 times. 2 of the last 10, Cab Sauv has been the leading grape. So in 2018, Cab Sauv and Petit Verdot are leading grape because they were the best varietals in the bundle of barrels that went into the blend. So the Harmonious is not a preset formula. It's whatever combines well. And we make the blends in my kitchen over the winter, and whatever me and my friends and people I trust like is what goes in the bottle.
And I always said, if you throw a splash of Syrah in my Bordeaux blend, you get my attention. And 2018 Harmonious, that's what it is. It's it's a 5 Bordeaux blend.
Since 2016.
And a splash of Syrah. And that's why, and I remember a year and a half ago, I said, well, Mark is he's a master blender. And that's where it's coming from, because of the Melodious, I have such a high praise for Melodious, the white blend, and the Harmonious, the red blend. The way that these aromas and flavors comes together, and not after 10 years, like the synergy among these flavors and aromas comes together pretty quickly. And now, especially with the Harmonious, like the 18 vintage, now like we're like 5 years in, and this wine is just singing. Like there is a flawless expression right now with no peaks and valleys. It's just like beautiful.
It makes me blush.
Oh, I don't blush. I'm just talking about like how beautiful these wines are, and especially I can get over it. It's the $35 price point. But yeah,
I say it again, we're not raising the prices at the end of this project. So it might run out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? No, I know. Start telling Mira about that, and I hope to keep that. Anyway, that relationship going, because to us, been keeping this these new wines coming our way. So we have the privilege to taste what you do and offering our people at Carl's Wine Club. So we're happy to see the mermaids back. Hey, Mira?
Yes, yes, yes. But I do have a problem, you guys. I have a problem. I'm out at the vineyard. I'm at your leading post. Is this Merlot out here too, Mark, or what do you have here right next to the guest house?
Yeah, that's Merlot. Yeah,
That's Merlot.
Too. Yeah, we can fill your glass. Come on inside. We'll look at it.
So I was going to say one big problem. I'm out of the Meritage, so clearly this passes the Mira scale. At least one glass. I would say multiple glasses, especially if you have a brisket on or something like that. But the other problem I have, you guys, is I brought a burrata arugula nectarine salad. Okay, and that goes really well with some of these white wines you've got. Probably my favorite white, Mark, is Sauvignon Blanc, and then Semillon is right after that. And you have a Sauv Sem. And I don't think you guys have talked about the white wines much. I mean, you've talked about the white Merlot, which is really unique for here, for sure. Great wine. But did you guys talk about the whites, or did I just miss it?
I think we're geeking out on the red. So you're right, Mira, to bring us back on track, because there's 3 amazing white, and there's the Sauv Sem. I would say
that was my favorite.
Yeah, that one's 90-10, and it's every year a little bit different. But the white wines we specialize in are Viognier, Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, Pinot Gris. We make a skin contact. There's a Ramato, I think is the right term.
Ramato, yeah.
It will remind me if that's the right word, but we do some skin contact on the Pinot Gris, and that results in a beautiful wine. We also make some really good blends that seem to always focus on Viognier. We have a Rosante, which has Viognier and Muscat. We have Melodius, which has Viognier and Muscat. Now Bacchus from Rob's Conviction Ridge. That's a spectacular wine. I was pouring at Feast of Fields last weekend at Langley, and I'll tell you what people were loving the whites. They were drinking these whites with these really delicate little canapes, little things, doilies on little crackers and the nice cheeses, and a good refreshing white is really nice.
Oh, and the Melodius is such in a great space right now. I mean, that's funny that Rob Amersley is just here listening to the pod and interacting.
The Bacchus he grows is fantastic.
So the Conviction Ridge Bacchus, it's became almost a cult wine here. So there's some Bacchus in your 2020 Melodius.
Yes, right? And luckily we're going to crush some Sauvignon Blanc tomorrow.
There you go.
Excited about that. So we'll be up early crushing grapes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So we have, and the Viognier, to me, it's a little higher alcohol. It's a little thicker, like bigger, bolder. Almost reminded me a little bit of the south of the Rhone Valley.
Well, there's a reason for that, because the 21 Viognier was made with a partial whole cluster wild ferment. So we make a rosé that's grapes crushed and fermented on skins for 7 days with a bit of red grapes in it. Give it the big hue. But we did one bin that had no red grapes. So that wild ferment on Viognier skin 7 days, that pressed, and that formed a 10% fraction in the 2021 Viognier. So that was a different thing that I'd never done before, and it worked out really well. I think over time, when I first tasted the wine after bottling, what did I do? I made a boo-boo. But over time, that fraction of skin contact wine has really formed an interesting layer. So I think that any wines that see skin contact in whites and reds or barrel time peak later. So when you do those kind of things in the white wine program, you're going to see whites that can cellar a little bit more than a standard white wine in steel, and it's going to have a more interesting trajectory. It might not be as good right out of the gate, but after a year or two in the bottle, they shine. I think we're seeing that with the Viognier and the Melodius.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Amazing.
Rob,
I love the freshness, but what's right now stand out to me is where he's at in this curve.
Yeah,
I think right now it's absolutely peaking for the Melodius. Like it's absolutely a flawless delivery at that very moment. And I told you a couple of times this week when we revisited the Melodius, and I kept saying the same thing over and over again. Like, wow, this wine is absolutely flawless at the moment. So,
yeah, it's a beauty.
yeah.
And I just want to say another thing about the Viognier. So I'm not usually a huge fan of Viognier so far. Some Viogniers to me are just a little too out there, but this one was super enjoyable to me. Also, Karen, Rob are concurring. They're saying you make some of the best Viognier in the valley. And Rob's asking, are you still using acacia barrels for the Viognier?
No, because someone stole them.
Oh.
That's a cool story.
Shoot.
The sorry, I just looked at it.
I want to do a full show about that.
Oh, no.
The Viognier 21 has neutral barrels with acacia staves. So yes, still it's acacia, but it's a different way of oaking. And
Okay.
the stave kits are interesting because you can very precisely control the oak contact. So yes, it's being acacia, just in a different way. 2022, which no one's tasted yet because it's still in the cellar, that did not see any barrel time. That was all steel. So we did some fun stuff with the lees.
Mira, we're close to the cellar. Maybe we can push for a.
There might be a second live after dinner. I don't know.
So yeah, the 21 and back, yes, seeing some wood. 22 and forward, I'm doing some different things in the cellar, but I'm still getting a great result because it's a lot of lees contact and patinage. Those are key aspects to the Viognier. But what's most important is it's from the same great vineyard, Dozier Vineyard in Naramata, which is farmed with great precision by Dylan and Penelope Roche and their team from Roche Winery. And I've been lucky enough to have a long-term relationship with those people. I helped them start their winery when we did custom crush for them. And so they're rewarding that loyalty with giving us fantastic fruit every year. And that fruit comes in. There's ladybugs, there's spiders, it's organically farmed, so it has a living ecosystem in the fruit because of the careful farming. So when you do a wild ferment in that Viognier, you get a very healthy ferment because it comes from a healthy ecosystem. So any of you that are into biodynamic farming, there's a whole story about that. It'll take a whole hour to get into it, but that is the core of the Viognier. The barrel is important, but what's more important is how it's farmed and what's done to the fruit, and how that holistic farming creates great quality. That's another
fascinating.
Yeah, no, this is fantastic. I love that. So, and what a great segment, what a great link with our feature last week, right? We went from completely natural wine feature with Pearl Morissette last week, and now we're getting into this. But yeah, with that Viognier, that's what I mentioned in my tasting note. This is a red wine, like it's a white for red wine drinker because it's full body. The texture is thicker. That's why you can picture that Rhone Valley style fish stew, that bouillabaisse, or that foie gras torchon to go with that Viognier because the texture is just so mouth-filling and textural. Yeah, the texture of that wine. I'm a sucker for texture. So
from lees
contact, and yeah, and that's a little like caramel thing that comes from the wild ferment. That sometimes like we talk with the Chardonnay when we can describe that wild ferment. So
that brings an interesting story. I mean, all the great people I had to work with in the past doing consulting and custom crush work. Penelope taught me a lot about lees. She used a lees a lot. She's a Bordeaux trained winemaker, and she gave me some tips and points about lees contact and lees fractions, and rack and return. And there's a whole story behind that. But I'm very grateful for that opportunity to learn from a real master winemaker who has decades of pedigree. So I paid attention when I was in school. Thanks.
Awesome.
That's awesome. We have Clay Martin for the BC Wine Review here was listening to the show.
I think Clay likes the Meritage.
Clay likes the Meritage. Clay's a big fan of what you do. Like Clay's a big fan, and we had a couple of side conversations this week regarding your product. But yeah, definitely, there's another channel. Hit the Facebook page, the Taste Buds. BC Wine Review, another great spot to get some Canadian wine information out there. So Clay, great work. Thanks for tuning in today. So Mira, it's 6:15. I'm starting to get really, really, really hungry here. We're going to have dinner at the guest house here at the Sonora Desert Inn in Osoyoos. And I think, yeah, how about you come back and we're going to wrap it up. What do you think?
Absolutely. And we brought some other little wines from Ontario because we like to be cross-pollinators in that respect. So what did we bring down here that we're going to have with our dinner, Carl? Oh, we lost him. Well, guess what? He's coming back. We brought a Saint Urban Vineyard Riesling from Vineland Estates in Ontario, in Niagara. One of the best Rieslings ever.
That's one of the amazing history. Canadian, and it's not released yet. Brian gave us a few extra bottles to bring back home. Yeah, if Rob's still listening here, Rob had a chance to give it a try to that wine. I mean, Rob, if you have nothing else to do, I know that Michelle is away. You should hop in the truck and join us.
Or better yet, we're going to Black Market right after this because we have to stop by there anyways. So
and we also have a red blend from Ferox. From Niagara as well. So I'm not sure exactly which blend we have. I think it's more of a field blend. I believe at that time we'll take a look at it. So we'll try a few of the Ontario.
Can I make a few comments before we sign up?
Absolutely.
Well, I don't know how many people are watching, but I'm sure a few. I just want to thank everyone for their support of Carl's Wine Club and Canadian wine. I think this is a tremendous community of wine lovers. We're very pleased to be part of it and quite honored. And to be sitting here on the screen, it's taken us a while to get back on the roster, so to speak, because we had a few bumps in the road. But we're back doing our thing. Teresa and I are very pleased to have everyone's support. And I want to really encourage you, go in your car, drive to a tasting room, fill your trunk full of wine. Those people miss you. They're lonely. There's been fires, floods, and road closures. We miss you. Come on out. Come see us. There's another month of harvest left. The weather's beautiful. Got 92 points on the flip-flop scale. Just, don't be shy. We miss you. Come on out.
There you go. There you go. And on our side at Carl's Wine Club this week, on the link right on the screen here that Mira's going to pull up, we have 9 wines, fantastic wines from Mythology Vineyard and Mark and Teresa. So let's recap quickly. We have, for white, we have the Viognier, the Semillon Sauvignon. So the Sauvignon Blanc Semillon 2022 vintage. We have the Viognier 2021 vintage. We have also the Melodious White Blend 2020. All 90 points plus, capped with the 92 points with the Melodious, who right now is in the perfect spot. In the red, we have 6 reds. So to round up the Discovery Pack, we have the spectacular 2017 Syrah, 92 plus points. We have the intriguing and little baby energetic 2021 Malbec, and the soft and round 2018 Harmonious, where it's the Harmonious clicked at 92 points. And
forward.
Yeah, cab forward, and the 3 bonus pick, the Special Reserve Cabernet Sauvignon 2019, a wine that you can leave in your cellar for 5 to 7 years, no problem at all. But right now, it's showing every day for me for the last 6 days. It doesn't show a sign of tiredness. So this wine is an absolute, like a super well built with great structure. So 92 points for that. The best $35 Canadian capsule, bar none. We also have one of the house signature, the White Merlot, so the brand new 2022 White Merlot, super versatile, fun wine to have with pretty much everything but charcuterie and burrata salad with peach and balsamic. I think you're gonna crush it with that Mira tonight. And the last one in the pack in the bonus pick. It's the one that we tasted tonight, the 50% Petit Verdot Meritage, split with Merlot and Cab Franc, 91 plus points, 2020 vintage. This can last for easy another 8 years. Absolutely no issue about that.
It wouldn't last in my cellar for 8 years.
So
Same
yeah,
here.
and so these wines are not a wine over $35. So QPR, that's what we're talking about this week. And there's not many BC wineries who are producing wines at that price and that quality. And we're pleased. Mark, thanks for having us here. Thank you. Thank you very much. And Mira, thanks for another great show. You look great out there. I wish, yeah.
The vineyard sits well on me, you know.
I know, Bill. I'll tell you so. Yep, I agree with you.
I like it.
So,
I like
I'd
it.
like to thank Teresa. Teresa, thanks for your hospitality. You guys are awesome. And Canadian wine lovers, Cars Wine Club members, a big thank you and see you next week.
Happy harvest, everybody.